toxic masculinity.
Scientific American admits to pushing climate hysteria.
Yeah, it's true. This is kind of funny. So Scientific American, which used to be a magazine and now it's like a website, I guess. There's an opinion writer here. I guess he's an editor at the magazine. You know, he covers all the science stuff. He's basically admitting that they're using terminology to scare people. But he says that it's totally justified many times in the article. And I was reading this article and I thought it was something worth talking about. So let's get into it real quick. It says, we are living in a climate emergency and we're going to say so. Damn it. But here's the thing about this, guys. The one of the reasons I wanted to mention this article is because you will need to know as you're watching the news that this is going to be the next thing that they say. They used to say global warming, then they started saying climate change. Now they're all going to say climate emergency. And not only is this something that you should know about because I'm speculating on it, this is something that you should believe they're going to do because this guy's telling you that's what they all have already agreed on. They've agreed they're going to change the terminology to better scare the crap out of everybody. Because they're like, because people should be scared, damn it. Let me read this. And it's time to use the term more than 13,000 scientists agree that it's needed. I think a lot of times when they get these scientists to sign crap, it's sort of like peer pressure. You know, they've got these situations where people are like, do it or else you're a racist. And they go, okay, I'm not a racist. I'll sign it. You know what I mean? It's that sort of herd mentality. So this guy's watching a brush fire, which is supposed to indicate climate change, which they've never, ever, ever found any kind of correlation between brush fires and climate change, but whatever. Because by the way, if the climate is rising, we should have more humidity in the air, which should mean fewer fires. So the idea that there's more and like fewer droughts and stuff like that. So this idea that there's fires and stuff because of climate change doesn't make any sense. But anyway, moving on. An emergency is a serious situation that requires immediate action. When somebody calls 911 because they can't breathe, well, that's an emergency. When somebody stumbles on the sidewalk because their chest is pounding and their lips are turning blue, that's an emergency. I'm so glad that he so beautifully illustrated what an emergency was because I didn't know before reading this. Let's see here. Both people require help right away. Multiply those individuals by millions of people who have similar symptoms, and it constitutes the biggest global health... It's hard for me to read this. And it constitutes the biggest global health emergency in a century, the COVID-19 pandemic. Now consider the following scenarios. A hurricane blasts Florida. A California dam bursts because floods of piled water high up behind it. A sudden, record-setting cold snap cuts power to the entire state of Texas. These are also emergencies that require immediate action. Multiply these situations worldwide, and you have the biggest environmental emergency to beset the earth in millennia. Climate change. Now, were any of these things caused by climate change? No. Nobody thinks that they were. This guy's pretending that they were so that he can stoke hysteria because that's what these people do. Let's see here. Given the circumstances, Scientific American has agreed with major... Sorry, I got to do my idiot leftist voice. Given the circumstances, Scientific American has agreed with major news outlets worldwide to start using the term climate emergency. See, they've all conspired together to use this term because they know it will be more provocative and it'll be effective to scare people. In its coverage of climate change, an official statement about this decision and the impact we hope that it can have throughout the media landscape is below. This idea is not journalistic fantasy. Now, see, this is the thing that really I thought was actually really bewildering. He goes on this like staunch defense of him using this term. He's saying, well, this isn't journalistic fantasy. But like the readers of Scientific American are not typically climate skeptics. They're usually people who accept this idea of, climate change and this kind of stuff. So you wouldn't need to defend it. You would just explain this is why we're doing it. It makes sense. It's rational. It's reasonable. But they're defending. They're sort of preemptively defending against criticism, and I feel like they're doing that not because of conservatives like myself who maybe don't think climate hysteria is appropriate, but rather against their own people who think maybe they're going a little bit too far and they're using propaganda. And the only reason I think he would suspect that is if he himself suspected that, in fact, he was doing something wrong, that he himself understands that, in fact, we're stoking hysteria and probably it's inappropriate, but they want to do it anyway. So I think it's very telling when he goes into this defense that he knows he's doing something shady here. This idea is not journalistic fantasy. We're on solid scientific ground, damn it. In January, Scientific American published an article about a study entitled World Scientists Warning of a Climate Emergency. So we had an article titled Climate Emergency. So now that term's totally appropriate because we published an article with that in it, with that term in it. So now that's the term, I guess. At the time, more than 11,000 scientists from 153 countries had signed a report to signify their agreement that the world is facing a climate emergency that requires bold action. Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys. I didn't have that on the thing. Darling, you got to tell me if I don't have the article up.
I'm looking, but there's a little bit late.
No. But you have a TV.
I do have a TV. Yes, I know. We do have a TV.
Oh, actually, that doesn't show the thing, does it? Okay, my bad. Sorry. I'm criticizing Larry. Totally.
You guys? Did you see that?
I'm an abusive husband. It's totally inappropriate.
Tomorrow there's going to be like a black eye, like maybe some scratches on the face. You know?
You'll use makeup. All right, let's see here. All right. Okay. At the time, more than 11,000 scientists from 153 countries had signed a report to signify their agreement that the world is facing a climate emergency that requires bold action. As of April 9th, another 2,100 had signed on. As our article said, the adverse effects of climate change are much more severe than expected and now threaten both the biosphere and humanity. Blah, 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 blah. Seriously, no, it's really serious, people. It's serious. It's totally serious. Journalism should reflect what science says. The climate emergency is here, and here's our statement. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Oh, they're using COVID-19 as a model, is that what you're saying? The media's response to COVID-19 provides a useful model. Oh my gosh. They're using COVID-19 as a model. Don't they realize that COVID-19 was blown way out of proportion and like trampled on people's civil rights and like destroyed people's lives and bankrupt companies and like let old people die in their beds alone away from their families? Like using COVID-19, the COVID-19 response is not a good idea. Guided by science, journalists have described, and they totally got the science wrong on COVID. Like a million times they got it wrong. Oh man, this guy just...
Didn't you like ask Siri what is the most powerful doctor in the world, and it says Bill Gates?
Yeah, if you ask Siri what the most powerful doctor in the world is, she'll say Bill Gates. She'll bring up articles on Bill Gates. Yeah.
Who is not even a doctor.
Who's not a doctor. Yeah. Yeah. I think he's...
And I like how they ask
I think he dropped out of college.
I like how they ask CNN, I think, ask his wife about vaccination and stuff, and she was like, of course, saying how good that is. And she's what degree she has? Marketing? Unbelievable.
I'm running out of stuff to throw at my cat.
Aston, come here.
I can't get up because I got these little short shorts on. It looks really funny. I'm in like workout clothes with a jacket. All right.
Do you want me to lock him up?
I think he's all right. Guided by science, journalists have described the pandemic as an emergency, chronicled by its devastating impacts, called out disinformation, and told audiences how to protect themselves, with masks and social distancing, for example. So he's using, we need the same commitment to the climate story. Our partner, so now we're going to have to wear a mask probably for climate change. I could imagine. As partners in covering climate now, a global consortium of hundreds of news outlets, we will present coverage in the lead up to Earth Day, April 22nd, 2021. Around the theme, Living Through the Climate Emergency, we invite journalists everywhere to join us. This is an opinion and an analysis article. An opinion and analysis article. That's a hard thing to say. All right. Well, anyway, I thought we should read that because you guys should know that we're about to receive an onslaught of climate change propaganda to try to create hysteria in America so that leftists can push their Green New Deal type policies. Anyway, so that's that. Darling.
Yes.
Shall we move on to the next story?
Okay, is that the story that I read like four times already?
Yes.
Okay. Lone man stands up to leftist rioters in Minnesota I
Yes.
think there is a
Okay.
mistake in your title. I think it says protesters,
Protesters. Yeah.
not writers.
Okay. Wait. So this guy, I mean, this isn't really much of a news story. It's more of just a random video. But this guy is awesome. Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.